That's literally somebody robs your house. The cops catch the guy and they'd be like, no. Like, I know it has your name on it, but he stole it clear, fair, and square.
Keep rolling, what? Rolling. Yeah.
Eric's got to press the button before the recording starts. It's a tough life.
Dude,
I know, yeah.
I'm glad you held me down on that Limp Bizkit right there.
Gotcha,
That was
buddy.
all right. Something I'm ashamed to say, but we lived through a crazy time. Limp Bizkit topped the charts.
At one time, Limp Bizkit was on top of the charts. Yes.
New metal was everywhere. That was like the phase, and then it like fizzled out like a bad fart within like a week.
Yeah, because they ended up putting it on like a couple of like popular movies, and then that's how they got like to the top of the chart, and then like that was it.
All of you guys make fun of these people with like little.
Oh no, I'm ashamed of Limp Bizkit, dude. I'll tell you that.
No, yeah, Limp Bizkit was not.
So it's not that the stupid names have started now. It's just been forever.
See
the Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit, yeah.
You don't know Limp Bizkit?
I've heard of it, but
you ever hear like of the most loved and hated guy in Hollywood, Fred Durst?
no.
Yeah, that anyways.
Yeah, I'm not surprised on that one.
I think you overestimate my investment in the media industry.
He tried
3 months ago.
Like you tried to shack up with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, all right?
Oh yeah.
Probably within the same week.
Yeah, right? Well, I mean, he was skeevy like that. He would just be like, yeah, like, hey, baby, come sit on the lap. Come on.
Fair enough. These things happen in Hollywood.
LIMP Biscuit is right here.
Okay.
Listen, we lived through a crazy time called...
We live through a crazy time now.
Yeah, I know. But it was interesting because like in that time, like in 2000, I'm saying in that time, in the 2000s, like,
early 2000s.
long time
early
ago.
2000s, like everything got publicized by somebody else in music. So like instead of reading about it on Twitter, like you heard about it in someone else's song. Like Eminem would like blow up all this stuff. If you ever heard that, and if you ever heard that. But if you ever heard like Eminem, like he just threw like all this stuff right out into the open, and then it made you want to know more about it. It was an interesting time.
So I guess Fred Durst picked up on that concept too. He started just like singing about like Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears too, and it was just like, oh god.
Yeah, it was a wonderful time. The news moved so differently then.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Different times.
Absolutely. It was fun. It was very fun.
I wonder what Mr. Biscuit is up to now.
Mr. Biscuit.
He might be on like some sort of tour, to be honest. I would not be surprised.
They're washed up. So I guess we can do a music lesson early this morning.
Oh yeah.
Music history lesson.
Let's do it.
So there was this crazy amalgamation. On the show, I've talked about the grunge movement a lot. You had this really, really refined and polished 80s hair metal movement within the rock scene. That was what was big and popular. And then the popular opinion and taste pushed back in the extreme equal and opposite direction. And that's how grunge got bred. So from being really like refined and polished and wearing girls' clothes and having big hair and like tight harmonies, it was like dirty dudes from their garage in Seattle that just like rocked and changed the entire world. But from there on, at the very same time, rap had blown up. Like, I mean, Tupac came out in 92, like Biggie in 93, or vice versa, somewhere like that. So like 92, 93. So all this came to a head where like rock like had like this another explosion, and then it like imploded on itself with the grunge movement, and rap just exploded. It took off. I mean, obviously, no Biggie and Tupac,
right?
So everybody.
I know, yes.
So yeah,
just making sure.
well, we know you rap. So.
Oh yeah. I'm a rapper, boys.
So that rap movement and that popular culture movement really took off, and everything took off in the direction which it's been in now. But there was one last like stitch effort revival within the rock community. It was something that birthed new metal, NU metal.
Yeah.
Which was an amalgamation of rap, hard rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was 3 seeds to it. It started with the band Korn. And then you had that brand of off metal where like things like Slipknot and other bands who were similar to the Deftones really took off out of there. So you had to have turntables, really, really heavy and fast music and like some kind of gimmick, like wear a mask and jump around in a jumpsuit. That was like, that was that vein of
That's
new metal.
pretty accurate, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you had something like Limp Bizkit, which took rap and rock and put it together in the most cheesy and terrible way.
Yeah.
But like, just the culture was a petri dish to breed and to reproduce that movement.
Yeah.
And there was this huge thing within the music industry. It's like it blew up overnight and it imploded on itself practically the next night.
yeah, it was up and down.
Like, I mean, it was less than a decade, and new metal came up, rose to complete fame, got prostituted by the music industry, and died the next day.
3 years. Yeah, it was about 3 years.
Sounds legit.
Roughly, yeah.
It's Hollywood in a nutshell.
Well, I mean, that's where like the music industry really like promoted something like Linkin Park. That's when it got commercialized.
Yeah.
Everybody blew up like when we were kids, and once Linkin Park came out, everybody loved it. I mean, I didn't, but
Yeah.
they
were very, very famous.
They were very, very, very popular, and
Yeah.
then like once the music industry tried to like cash in on that new metal rebellious movement, it was like, okay, it's dead.
Yeah.
It's done. And that's it.
Art is one of those interesting things where, like, you can never predict where it's going to go. Like of course, there's always well, at least for now, there's always going to be, like, pop that's, like, nominally making money, but there's only, like, a couple people who could do pop at the same time for them to make money, you know, from my outside perspective. And then you have this random stuff that just happens in the background that kind of just goes up and down, and they kind of, like wave pattern them together so that as one's going down, one's coming up, and it just like takes the slot like in between all the pop songs, and it's like.
Now that you explain it like that, the only thing I can picture is like even like a storefront, and the front windows with those displays, that's the pop displays.
Yeah.
And everything that happens in the store is like what's actually selling is what ends up on the pop displays. You know, so it's like whatever's really popular and working back here is what ends up on that front window, and that's how you get to the sight of it. But and that's kind of the way I just envisioned it when you were explaining it that way. But it's pretty accurate. It's just like you can't really ever. There's trends and there's like things that you can. There are people who are really good at hearing a hit song, and good for those people. But
1-4-6-5 in the key of G and send it out with a catchy hook.
Yeah, good for those people, right? But when you
Khaled.
Yeah, well, he's very good at what he does.
Well, I mean,
I will not hate on him.
his multiple Rolls Royces and his house in the hills definitely shows that he knows what he's doing.
Yes, he's very good at what he does. But it is interesting because you can't really tell what's going to be like the next big thing. I never thought, like I heard like trap start and I was like, this is probably going to be a big thing, but I didn't think it'd go as big as it did. And even when dubstep kind of came up and it was like the fastest growing in like genre ever in the history.
People even still like dubstep?
I mean, it stopped growing.
Well, I mean, unless you like
it kind of
do party drugs.
It stopped. Yeah, well, there's that.
When you want to see the colors.
I don't think they have like a growing fan base. I think that it's just like they've reached all their fans, and now they capped, and that's it. You know what I mean? They're not going to continue to grow. I don't think whoever doesn't like dubstep, and whoever does like dubstep, and they already found them.
Whoever doesn't like dubstep doesn't take Molly. Like, is that what we're talking about?
I don't know. I'm not talking about the actual
fans. Well, what's really popular now is these DJs who are doing like not specifically DJ Khaled, but like DJs who do performances that then make their own music, which are like amalgamations of other songs.
Yeah, like
Zed, and Marshmello.
I was just say Marshmello.
What's his name? Dylan Francis and all these guys.
And like I don't know what it. So I've just seen the videos. I've never been to one of these shows, but I know they do like the EDM. Like they have the what's it called? The Electric Daisy Carnival.
Oh yeah,
is one other thing that they do. And like I've seen the videos of them, and they like. Does look very drug induced, but yeah, that's what I know of like that genre is like Sandstorm. But anyway, that's a different conversation. But I've seen the videos of like the performances and stuff, and it's like the amount of people that they perform in front of.
Yeah,
like it is just like outdoors and like a sea of hundreds of thousands of people just all in sync, just bouncing, and it's just like that must be a crazy. Amazing view if you're on stage looking back the other way. I would love to just be not doing anything. Just stand on the stage and watch all that.
You really don't have to do anything. It's just like Button.
I don't know.
Button
I don't.
done.
I don't want to discredit. I'm sure he does more than that.
But
There's
you
no
could
way
do, you
get
could
that.
do it. He probably goes up there and does a couple things on manual for fun, so like you have something to do. So you're not just like, oh, look at all these people.
So he's
like,
not going to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning because those parties start at like 1 a.m.
Yeah. Well.
how do you know?
Well, yeah, me and Dylan Francis, we go and party in LA. No, but like I think Dylan Francis has a contract with one of the hotels out in Las Vegas, and he
Mhm.
does parties every week in Las Vegas, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Like, imagine just doing that every single week.
Hey, whatever you're into, if you get paid.
Yeah, no, he gets paid an exuberant.
Yeah,
amount
I
of
mean,
money, but,
everyone. I mean, everyone's made for something else. You know what I mean? Like for me, I probably wouldn't survive
Like,
very long. But there are people who like just thrive in that kind of environment. For me, it's just like I could do that every now and then. As far as like going, like this is why I'm like behind the scenes of the music industry. It's like if I really loved all that extra action, I'd be in a different position. But because I like being behind the scenes, like I'd rather not be at the actual performances. Other than like there are a few people I like to see perform, but other than that, I'm not too big of a go out till 2 a.m. and listen to.
well, that's true about a lot of different.
My brain
aspects.
interpreted that as metal.
Oh, whatever, whatever works.
There wasn't enough drops in that. But that's true about a lot of different things. Like it's like a lot of actors don't like to go watch their movies when they premiere. And like they're like, listen, I'm done. Like that's it. Like we did this thing, it's done, and that's it. And never watch it again.
Yeah,
And it's an interesting thing to think. Like
A lot of musicians too. You don't want to listen to yourself.
no,
I don't want to listen to myself.
yeah. Unless you have writers and all sorts of other stuff, then maybe you listen to it. Because then it's like whatever you didn't. You're not your hands not in the masa kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's not. You're not really. You didn't write it. You didn't record it. Once you're the writer, the recorder, the producer, the engineer, and once you do all that, by the time you finish, you're just like, all right, this song is done.
yeah, you've listened to the song
Cooked.
as many times as you would have listened to it if it was on the radio by that point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a behind the scenes thing when it comes to music too. It's like you go and you're gonna perform something.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you don't. But until you're sick of it and you never want to hear it again. That's when you're ready to perform it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you lost all taste for everything that you're doing by the time it's time to actually like put it forward.
Yeah, and you got to think like these recording artists, they go on these tours, and if they don't make a hit again, like someone, I'm gonna just use like. I don't want to use him, but I'm going to use him. Vanilla Ice, right? He has one hit, right?
Yes.
This dude still goes on tour and sings that one song.
Hey, listen, it is what it is.
And he gets paid. I mean, I'm sure it's not a crazy amount of money, but probably not much. Anyways, he still goes on tour, but like he's been performing that song since like 2001.
It's almost inverse. Usually you'll see like when you get behind the scenes interviews, there are like 4 or 5 songs that artists hate with a passion
Yeah.
that they have to play that are like these big hits that everybody asks them to play, and they're like, I hate this song, I hate this song. Probably, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Well, they're
You might like
They're
that song.
they're Canadian. They must like just everything they have.
I'm coming to Greg. I'm coming to get some
Okay,
people.
fair.
But then at the same time, you have somebody coming to my brain is somebody like Gavin Rosdale, and he's like they play that Bush's song "Come Down." They play almost every single show they go out, and he's like, that's the first song I ever really wrote, and I never get tired of playing that ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing that started it all.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah, our boy Billy Joel says all the time, got to make a hit, got to make it quick. If you don't sell songs, it's gonna be on the back of the discount rack. It's true. It's true. It's all like if you don't keep pumping out music, you're gonna be at the back of the store.
Yeah.
Well, physical. Well, back when there were physical music
Now
stores,
you're just gonna be at the bottom of the
yeah. They're gonna have to search for you to find your music, and
Yes,
that's pretty much a death bell.
I guess that's not as rhymey as.
I'd love to hear Billy Joel redo that song, "The Entertainer," for like today's music. I wonder how much it would change. No songs are 3:05 anymore. Well, except for Taylor Swift's music. but-
Actually, songs have gotten shorter.
oh really?
Yeah, there's been a trend, especially like in newer. I'm talking hip hop. Newer hip hop. It is like if you're over 3 minutes, it's now too long of a song.
That's
Oh,
it.
wow.
Well, I mean, Nicki Minaj had 12 bars of I memean,
Yeah, they're not even able to write
Fair.
enough to fill
Our boy-
3 minutes of song anymore.
Our boy Post Malone, 7 writers on his music, 0.23456 as part of the chorus. The lyrical genius of 7 minds built together. 51 million streams on Spotify alone. That song.
Yeah. That song, man. I already talked about it on the podcast when I first heard it. I was like, dude.
Yes. Well, anyway, seeing that we wasted an entire block on music history, thank you so much for tuning in once again to the Life Podcast. My name is Tyler, and I am here with Eric.
Yo, I love music.
And Benji.
I tolerate music.
So that's what we did, and we'll be back with our real topics shortly, so stay tuned.
We would like to thank Anchor for sponsoring and hosting the Life Podcast. So who are Anchor and what do they do? Anchor is the all-in-one platform that gives you everything you need to make and publish your podcast. And best of all, it's all free. Anchor allows you to use their creative tools to record and edit your podcast. No need for any fancy professional equipment. Sounds amazing, right? And we haven't even gotten to the best part. Anchor isn't just a recording and editing platform. They're a publisher too. This means that Anchor takes care of all of the hard stuff, like publishing to Apple and Google Podcasts, so you don't have to. So what are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Another thanks to Anchor for hosting, publishing, and sponsoring the Life Podcast.
So, of course, every conversation has to start with our girl Taylor Swift and my boy Scooter. Scoot. Rip my boy Scooter. Just all he did was make a $400 million investment, and every girl in the age group of 15 and below in America got mad at him. It's a very difficult life.
Well, for those of you who don't
I guess
know,
as long as you're not trying to sleep with them, like, who cares?
Yeah, fair enough.
for those of you who don't know, I'm going to explain my perspective of this story. And my perspective may be off because I didn't do extensive research.
Well, the guy bought the company, and that was it.
Well, let's talk about this.
Okay.
All right. So him and T Swift,
Scooter, and
Scoot, and T
Scooter
Swift
Scooter is a I don't even know what he's like an investor, but he owns a couple record companies.
Yes. And him and T Swift got into some sort of disagreement.
Kerfuffle.
And in exchange of this disagreement, Scoot said, "I'm buying your music." She probably said, "Haha, yeah, right." He probably went right to the record label and said, "I'll give you $400 million." They said, "Huh? I'll sell you the whole record.
Yeah, he sold.
I'll sell you the whole studio and everything we own."
Yeah.
And and all those things that they own included T Swift's entire musical collection and masters.
And I'm out.
And homeboy said, "Peace out." Called T Swift, said, "Sorry, baby, this is how it works."
That's how the cookie crumbles.
Do you have $400 million? Too late. I already signed it, and gotta go.
Now she wanted to buy it back,
Right,
and
I
he
was
didn't
about to
sell it.
Well, because he just wants to make the
Well,
money.
yeah,
It's not like she doesn't have $400 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now she's like, "Let me buy my masters." Scoot said, "Yeah, well, remember when this happened?" No.
So from my understanding, the company went up for sale, and Scooter scooped it real quick, like faster than expected.
Before it even hit eBay.
Probably. And then
I'm going to do something never done before.
Taylor Swift said,
Okay.
"Watch this." Tyler's not interested in this conversation, physically leaving the room. She said, "I'll buy my records back." And Scooter said, "Well, I can't do that. But what I will do is I'll give you your oldest record if you record a new record with me. So I'll swap them out." She didn't want to do that. So she said peace, and she made her own record label.
Well, there we go. You know, and to this day, I'm sure she's going through all sorts of like legal things to try to get it back and just try to use the justice system to try to win. I wish her luck. I don't really like. I know I'm joking about it, but I don't think it's cool.
I mean, it is what it is. Like
It's capitalism at its finest.
yeah.
I don't think the record label should have been allowed to sell someone else's intellectual property like that without the consent of the person.
Oh, she probably signed a contract.
Yeah, she just probably didn't know what she was doing, and she kind of got swindled.
Oh,
That's what it
absolutely, and that's why that's what I'm not okay with. That's like the worst part of the music industry. That's the part I hate about the music industry. Because if you're not like, if you sign because when did she get signed? Probably like 17, 16.
Back in the day.
You know, and her parents probably signed the thing. They probably didn't really understand either. And you get into this contract and you're just like, woo, yeah, I get to make money now. And
I
then,
don't
like,
own any of my
But
IP.
and then 5 years later, you finally learn what an IP even means. You don't even know what it stands for because you were 17. You had no idea.
Does she write any of her music? Is it her intellectual property?
I don't know.
What's
Yeah,
what's
I,
one of
I
her
think she
songs?
writes a ton of her. Well, at least the early stuff she wrote.
The early
She
stuff,
wrote
yeah.
pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know about now, nor do I.
Let's find one of her old.
He just gonna hey.
Absolutely.
That's lyrical mastermind right there.
Hey,
Yeah,
listen,
right.
It is what it is.
That's
Listen,
I mean, that's like just a half a notch above your stupid hoe.
again. Do you have a mansion out in the hills?
Listen, 12 bars of
There you go. Here's 2008. Okay, so
close enough.
2008
Yeah.
album Fearless. Let's just grab one random one. Song credits. Written by. Oh yeah, no, written by her.
Nice.
Performed by her, written by her, produced by Nathan Chapman and her.
Yeah, nice. So she lost
So,
everything.
yeah. So she got wrecked.
Yeah, that was her property. And I mean, I understand you're in a contract. I understand how the contract works. I understand how the industry works. I get it. It's just the ugly side of the industry because like you got these people who really know the business because they've been doing it for years and years and years, and they understand what they're doing, and they only explain half the process to the client until they get the signature, and then they get the signature, and it's just like, okay, go do what we signed off on, and then years down the road, they finally start to understand the complexity of what they're actually locked into, especially in that time in 2008. It was just like, the contracts in the music industry, we weren't as aware as we are of it today. All we knew was like, oh, it's a dark place in 2008, but we didn't really understand
why.
why.
Couch, baby, come on.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's
I'll
like
make the
really,
dreams go true. Come on.
yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
Not
And-
saying no, I mean.
I'm not saying not mean, but you know what I mean.
What?
I don't know. Not mean.
I guess should we talk about something of substance here?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
we were gonna get there.
Come on, let's go.
cook it.
I forgot what we were gonna say. The idea of that if you base your self-worth on the popularity that you have, that or based off of the way that people like interact with your work, then you'll die by that same.
Like Taylor Swift could have been cooked. She'd be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't own any of my music. What am I making it for if I'm not gonna be like?"
I'm sure she was crying in her $30 million mansion.
Yeah, right.
Honestly, I mean, luckily she handled that really
Crying
well.
in the Bentley the
Yeah.
whole way.
Yeah, she handled that really well. I don't know.
Our boy Chris Valentin says, "I'd rather be rich and miserable than poor and miserable."
Yeah.
There's something. Well, there we go. But there is something to be said.
I don't hate it.
This is completely my perspective of it, and I know that a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me. There's a difference between being a recording artist who records someone else's written stuff and writing your own music.
Oh yeah.
You have a much deeper intimacy with that music, and if that gets taken away from you, I don't know how I would react to that, because that is your art, and that is what. Like, I don't care. Like the fact that it's one of those things where it's like, I got paid for that, which is amazing.
Well, you got intellectually raped, is what happened.
Yeah, it's like you got, like, literally, like, they stole your property that was, like, literally your name is still on it, and they're just flashing it around. So that's literally like somebody robs your house, the cops catch the guy, and they'd be like, no, like, I know it has your name on it, but he stole it clear, fair, and square. What do you mean? It's mine.
He worked really hard to get this. Three doors, a window.
I mean, I understand what you guys are saying. I understand where you're coming from. To me, as much as this sounds very capitalistic, Scooter paid $400 million for it. Like,
No, I wasn't agreeing with him.
No,
I was just hyping into it.
No, but what I was going into was saying, like, she handled that very well as far as her mental state goes. I don't know how I would mentally be able to handle that. And she recovered by opening her own record label, so good for her.
I mean, it was shady, but business was business, boys. You should have known what you were signing when you were signing it.
Yeah, I mean, that
Should have got a lawyer chick.
Yeah, so that goes to everybody else in the music industry, especially the ones who haven't signed anything yet.
Get a lawyer.
Please get a lawyer, read it, and really understand it. Don't just go
oh
sign
wow,
things.
so it's actually he bought Big Machine Records, which is the company that Scooter bought. It owns actually a bunch of different people. So Taylor Swift, Florida Georgia Line, Tim McGraw, Thomas Rhett, Garth Brooks, Rascal Flatts, like all these artists are signed by the same people, which is so he got a bunch of stuff in
Yeah.
this deal. So it wasn't the reason why this controversy started was because he has a pre-existing issue with Taylor Swift. Like they've had issues before in the past, so that's why it's that big of a deal. But yes, she did take it very, very well, you know. And it's important to realize that this could have been a mental break. This could have been very much a Britney Spears level breakdown for Taylor Swift.
It could have been, and she handled it really well. So I got to give her props for that.
So when we were in the break, you were outlining this thing, Benji, because you were thinking about it. It's like, when you rise up to fame, like the minute you're like that, your identity is based on fame. And we've talked about identity. Actually, the first one take on identity was released yesterday for anybody.
Oh, nice.
We're a week ahead on the podcast, but head over to the studio page, studio YouTube page.
Linked in the description.
Yeah, linked in the description, and go check out Identity if you want to know more about it. So if you base your identity on your rise to fame or whatever you did, if you base it on your intellectual property rather than who you are, what value you actually have as a human being, you see a rise to fame like Britney Spears. She comes up, she's the brightest star the world has ever seen, and then all of a sudden, like, cooked a week later, and she's shaving her head and and taking Xanax by the pool. I mean,
Yeah.
Eric's like, it checks out. Sounds about right. That's the circle of the media industry. It's just
but no, that's very true. It's like you can't put all your you are who you are, not what you do. And it's very, like, especially this is interesting because we're speaking from a perspective where none of us are famous, but you can't, like, if you get that rise to fame, you can't put all of, like, you aren't the fame, you know what I mean? Fame comes and goes, and there's a lot of music out there that kind of, like, you know, a lot of songs out there that really depict a really good image of what fame is, and they usually compare fame to being like a mistress, you know what I mean? And, like, you can get consumed by this mistress and be taken over, or you should probably understand that it's like you shouldn't be that close to it.
She gonna turn you out like a trick and spit you out and see you later.
Exactly. And like the concept of a lot of the music is, but I love it. You know what I mean? I love the feeling of fame, you know, and that's one of those things where you get that rise to fame, especially if it's a quick rise, because, you know, everyone knows the saying: the higher you go, the higher you rise, the faster you fall. But it's a very
Rip Fred Durst.
Rip, yeah, jeez, poor guy. He'll be all right. But this is like a huge mental thing though, because like the music industry has a very high suicide rate. Like, we can't argue about if that's a fact. It's just it is what it is, you know. And I think a lot of it comes from like that rise and fall of fame, where like one day you're on top of the world, and the next day people forgot your name, and you like kind of put all your chips into that basket once you're up there. Like, oh, I'm never coming back down from here, and this is all just my perspective. But yeah, you get to the top and you're like, I'm never coming down from here. It's like you get all the money and then you spend it all, right? And because you think that more is going to come in, and then all of a sudden the paycheck stops coming in, the fame starts coming in, and now you're you don't know what to do with yourself.
I heard Ashton Kutcher talk about it actually a couple weeks ago on an episode of Hot Ones, like two weeks ago. And he was saying, like, the hardest thing, like, it's one thing to be a business mogul and come up with money and not come up in fame, because then you'll know how to manage the money because you don't have fame as that extra, like, impetus, versus, like, when you become famous because of a film or a TV show or whatever it is, you come up with money and fame at the same time. And that will cause you to cook it really hard.
Absolutely. You try to live a lifestyle that you don't understand, you know, and it's a very dangerous thing. But even like, I understand we're talking about music, but even bringing it back down to like people who were popular in high school, who are still stuck on being popular in high school,
right?
Yeah,
now they're bald and bagging groceries at price for
like that was the height of their, you know,
they're
life,
like, oh yeah, back in high school, you remember when I got that touchdown or whatever? Like, this is a very like,
that's a very
stereotypical example,
works.
but still, it's all like, oh yeah, I was the quarterback of the football team, you know, and now I don't do. And I'm not saying that everybody does this, but still, it's like people get stuck on it.
Yeah, it's true, and there's so much life after high school.
There's so much life.
Yeah, I understand.
There's so much life.
There's so much life.
And that's the thing, is like there's so much life ahead of us. You know what I mean? Just like a lot of people get stuck on, like, especially we can go like this goes into a lot of different things. There was another interview that I read, and it was, I can't remember what book she wrote, but it's a very, very popular book, and it was the author, and she was like, how do I ever top that? Like, is that the height of my life? Like, and it's like you wrote like the bestseller of whatever that time was, and now she struggles to write another. Like, how is she gonna compete with herself?
Well, you see that a lot too. Like, I was just thinking about Britney Spears. Like, Britney Spears, she rose to the height of fame, and she had like a mental breakdown, crashed, like fell off the charts and everything, and then like tried to reinvent herself unsuccessfully like 2 or 3 other times.
Yeah,
And it was like, you couldn't get back. But then you'll see other people who are in the music industry, they rise to a super thing of fame, they shrink back because they fall out of fat or whatever it is. They reinvent themselves like 5 to 10 years later, and they come back and they're even bigger than they were before. Somebody even think about like Lil Wayne.
yeah.
Dude, he's been on the scene for years and years. He was kind of famous. He shrunk back, and all of a sudden he came and reinvented himself, and like that was the Wheezy that everybody knew and fell in love with. And then he fell out of fame again. I don't know what he does now, but
Well, he retired, quote unquote, and then he came back and he just dropped another album like this year, and then he he does that thing where you're like, I drop an album and then I hide.
It's when he needs money.
Yeah, well,
things happen.
yeah, it is what it is.
that was like Tool too. I mean, just for like the rock fans and everything. Like, Tool didn't release an album for like almost like 15 years.
Yeah,
They didn't have any of their music available on.
and he went through a whole legal battle too with because he was signed. He had his own record label, but his music. So he had artists under his record label, but his music was under someone else's record label, and then like he didn't get paid. Like, he was owed like $4 million.
Nice.
Or whatever it is, or probably a little more than that. I hope a little more than that now. But so he was owed money, so there was like a huge and he was like, the other side was like, I'm not paying you, and he was like, but you owe me this money, kind of thing.
Yeah.
They went through the legal procedures on that. He ended up winning. So he got paid, but what had happened was he lost the rights to all the songs that he had recorded for the new album. So that album got pushed back like 3 years because he had to re-record the whole thing, a whole new song. Like, he didn't even try to re-record those. He just made a whole new album. Like, so that was all trash now. So that was like there's so much stuff that happens in the music industry. It's amazing.
The other example, really quickly before we go, do you remember the game Minecraft? So the guy who made that, Marcus Pearson, he said one time right before he got bought out by Microsoft that he can't make video games anymore because if he even starts writing code, the whole world knows about it, and there's so much pressure on him to make something as good as Minecraft that he never wrote another game in his life. Again, Marcus Pearson now sitting with $2 billion in cash from Microsoft and a house in the hills that he outbid J-Lo for, but nonetheless.
But that's funny. If we can run, I mean, we can run a couple minutes over.
Absolutely.
But like, his value system was correct in place. Like, when he had a secure identity, he was like, dude, I can't write anything better than Minecraft. I got $2 billion, like $2 million or $2 billion or whatever it is. It's like
$2 billion.
$2 billion. I'm gonna go do what I really wanted to do. Like, that was fun for a season. Like, I can do so much more now. I don't have to go and write another thing because I don't need to be famous. I can just cook it, sell out, and leave. See you later.
He has a wall of candy in his house. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like candy dispensers, but like big tubes.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's
All right.
kind of cool.
I was like, a wall of, like, what do you do? Just lick the wall?
Yeah. It's really
Snozberry tastes like snozberry. Yeah, there you
basically. But yeah, hey, listen, it's when you become that famous and when you make something that good, especially like one of your first public attempts at something is this massive success, it's really tough to make like a version 2 of something or to make something better.
Yeah, absolutely. Nope. On that note, we will be back from the break soon, so stay tuned.
To the show, William Eyelash.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. We were talking about Billie Eilish, who's currently a top charter. Like, I'll pull up the charts, but she's like number 5 or number 6 right now with her music.
Just be careful which chart you pull up.
She's 17. 17 years old.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I'm not surprised, but there are some people that handled the fame a lot better than I anticipated them to do. We talked about it actually the other day. Alessia Cara. I didn't think that she would handle the fame as well as she did. She's just another pop singer. But Tyler's looking at me so confused. I'll just explain.
Yeah, we're in the pop section now.
Yeah, sorry,
okay.
Tyler. It's gonna be fun for you. But anyway, so she.
I'm sitting over here talking about how Tool dropped their first album in 15 years, like a couple months ago, and it's like.
we have to be.
Did they get 51 million streams on Spotify?
Actually, they're like number one across like a bunch of platforms and charts right now.
Oh,
if you look it up.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Post Malone, rip. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
But anyways, her rise to fame, she was like 16, 17, and then she ended up on Ellen as on her talk show when she made her first song, and because I guess Ellen just really liked it.
That's Alessia Cara.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then she really exploded from that interview. Everyone everyone watches Ellen apparently, and then I just thought that it was just too abrupt in my perspective. I didn't think that she would make another hit. Before I knew it, she was signed to Def Jam, and she was doing fine.
There you go.
So it's one of those things. But there are I know we were talking about like all this other stuff, but there are great artists in the history of music who have like got to a point where, the fame kind of left them, or they got all the money. They got all the money they were looking for, but they never really found the happiness. And they got to a point in their careers where like they could go out and make more music if they really wanted to because they were that good. But it wasn't what they ever wanted. They felt, in a way, I don't know what I'm sure every one of them had a different reason, but the idea of like the being entrapped into these contracts and you can't get out. You have this weight on you that's telling you have to make more music whether you want to or not, and just pretty much being used as a product for a majority of your life, especially the ones that start at a younger age and they go into it.
You get prostituted for your image and intellectual property.
Yeah.
And really, that's what it is. It's rape.
Yeah. And now in modern music industry, like it goes beyond your music now. It breaks into like 360 deals where they're making money completely off your image. And no matter, like, if you're on a commercial, they get paid. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
You are, it does not matter. You're on a podcast. You don't have to even be on music anymore. Your record label's still getting paid.
Just side note, we're talking about it. Tools Fear Inoculum debuted, launched, and stayed at the top of the Billboard 200. I don't know where it is exactly on the charts at the moment, but as of August 14.
There you go. Fair enough.
Nice.
This
year?
Yeah.
Nice. That's not bad.
I'm surprised. Well, I mean, I'm not really that surprised, but
Top
I'm surprised
200
at the same time.
Yeah.
The rest of the music industry is trying to sweep it under the rug. Like, no, buy my Taylor Swift album.
Hey, listen, there's a reason why the microwave meals are in the supermarket. Like, it's like it's not because anybody necessarily enjoys them, but you gotta buy something eventually. It's like,
yeah. Well, I mean, you have like a 305 Taylor Swift song, or like Tool's Lateralis album that they came out with was based on the Fibonacci sequence, and every song was written out of the Fibonacci sequence.
There you go.
Like that's crazy. That's crazy.
I understand that this is the problem with every industry, is that there's going to be people who actually care about the stuff, and there's going to be people who are like, I need something to listen to when I drive to work. And that's very different markets. And I understand. Basically, dab on the haters voice. Basically, what we're saying here, and that's basically where the music industry thrives, is radio music. Like Eric and I were talking, the top charts right now are end of summer, sad boy, white girl music right now.
Yeah,
and I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Or whatever. It's just literally that's as blunt as it gets.
Yeah, it's
exactly what's on the charts right now.
It's because it's the end of the summer. It's breakup music. It's Post Malone's song has a line that's all like, "You can leave because it's just me" or whatever, and it's all breakup. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's probably the same song. I don't remember.
I think it is the same song.
Yeah,
he's got a couple top charters, but at the end of the day, it's breakup music. It's end of summer music, and that's what's charting because people want to listen to end of summer breakup music.
All right, so I guess we can roll into the special
practical life application.
No, I don't know what we're gonna teach people on this one.
Don't judge yourself based off of how other people feel about you. That was like one of those grinding gears moments. I was all like, generate comment. Exactly.
Lower the quality, Benjamin. Lower the quality.
Yeah, basically. Billie Eilish is one of those examples where it's like, I'm afraid to see what Billie Eilish does because she's already, in my personal opinion,
unstable.
Mentally unstable.
Oh yeah, she's unstable.
Yeah,
I watched. She had the first time I was exposed to her, she had a thing on. She was on Hot Ones. That Wink show, and I just watched her talk, and I was like, oh no.
You have to also give this is a 17-year-old girl. Like, I mean, it's like, you put a camera in some random 17-year-old girl's face, and it's probably not going to go as well as if you
like,
talk to Ashton
not
Kutcher.
trying to be judgmental, but as she would reveal herself through her words and actually speak from her heart, I was like, wow, you like psychologically, you have a lot of things that are bothering you. You have a lot that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because like I could not imagine being in Hollywood at 17. Me as a 17-year-old, I could not imagine.
Well, think of it. Her
being
parents
in
are probably already like dragging her through like those weird fame hoops by like 13, 14, 15. Like she didn't just get there overnight.
No,
Yeah.
no.
She been conditioned, groomed, and ready for the couch for years, boys.
Hollywood is a crazy place, dude. She's worth some
You
money,
also
though.
you also have to remember that these people have a cam. Like now, I guess in 2019 it's not as crazy anymore because cameras are everywhere. But like they always have a camera in their face,
Yeah.
and they're always being watched and ridiculed on everything that they do, like how they brush their teeth and.
Well, the entire world's been conditioned and changed. Like we talk about it, like you can't even get away with anything anymore. I remember when I was in school, even when they started to have to install cameras in school. Like I remember the first cameras being installed. I was
Yeah.
just getting into high school.
yeah.
Back in my day.
Back in my day.
No, but you
I
can see that
understand.
generational
Yes,
line in that
yes.
shift. It was like you could do whatever you want. I mean, like think about it in like the 80s and then the 90s. If you wanted to go and beat somebody up on a corner, nobody's catching it on camera.
Yeah.
Like I mean, there was a very small percentage that people even had like had like security cameras, and now like Ring doorbells are everywhere. Like you can't go anywhere without being recorded.
Yeah.
You can't get away with anything anymore.
I don't think that's a bad thing, though.
I get
Oh,
that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just it's just a different time. So
Yeah.
now with
Yeah.
technology and the advent of technology, like you have a camera in everything that you have and do. Like everybody's watching you. You are exposed at all times. Where like now being old school famous, it's like they could have their private lives. You can
Yeah.
go to these lavish parties and not have somebody catch it on Snapchat.
Yeah.
Or like Post Malone's recent reaction that blew up on the internet about him getting flashed. It's like that probably wouldn't have
Yeah.
got caught on camera.
Did you see that picture?
No, I didn't. I missed that whole thing.
Like, would you imagine like Frank Sinatra and like Dean Martin right now if they could have followed the life of them?
Yeah, no, that would have gone for
Right, like the
forward.
waitress messed up his scotch on the rocks, and she just turns out, pow, punches the waitress down. Like nobody ever talked about that. Like they're just like, well, she got what she deserved.
Should have brought the right drink.
Well, it's
Oh,
true.
God.
It's interesting to see how it's developing over time, and I'd like to see how this grows.
She should have bought the right drink.
I had a thought in this vein. I forgot what it was, but it was something about the cameras. It's interesting to see how like everybody is becoming, and it's because you can now see almost everybody. You blow up so much faster, and there's no friction to any of this process.
Yep.
Before, all these old guys, who are in the music industry, they had to like grind, like no matter what industry you were
And be
in.
known and go to a different city and be like and find these producers, and then it's more about who you know, not how much you get exposed.
Yep. And even back as far as Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber was found off of YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like he was probably one of the first people to see this shift where it's like Justin Bieber was found on YouTube, Billie Eilish was found on YouTube, like all these, Shawn Mendes I think was found on YouTube too. All these guys.
Yeah, YouTube is like the cultivating thing, and that's what it comes down to. Like if you're popular on YouTube, you already have a following. It's a lot easier for anybody to invest in that because they can see the numbers. It's a lot easier to like say, okay, this person already has 1 million people who like them.
Yeah.
We can make that 17. And it's really what it comes down to. So that YouTube became almost like a what's the word I'm looking? It's like a cultivation system of like
a
new
farm
talent,
yeah.
a farm system
Yeah.
for new talent, quote unquote, or just new famous people. And if they're like there, then you could definitely just explode that with actual proper funding behind them.
Because marketing at the end of the day will find somebody who likes something. Eric and I have seen this in our recent interactions with marketing ourselves, that no matter what the topic is that you're trying to push, you will find somebody who loves that thing. And it's like just finding those people and marketing to those people is the most important process.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, and that's the thing about the music industry. A lot of people say like it's luck. I don't think it's luck. I think that and most of it's just strategy. It's a really well researched industry, and people, as much as I'd hate to say it, are very predictable. And when people are predictable, you could predict what they're going to like, and you could present, as long as you present it in the right way, people will eat it up.
Mm-hmm.
And like everything that you're doing online is being tracked to a T. Every click that you do, and they can see where your mouth cursor goes through a website. And like, if you think Amazon doesn't know your exact tracking, they can pull your exact thing up,
Yeah.
and they know exactly what you did when you were in their store. And that's something that like that any analyst can use, sell that information to a marketing company, and they can see, oh, this person interacted with the banner on top. This person is more likely to click those, and this large number of people also do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, this is where the album name is gonna go. You know, and this it's just a strategy, guys.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really well thought out strategy. I'll give it that. That's well funded. And it's able to do all that. But like, this is how pop music ends up on top, is because they have the funding to pay for this kind of stuff.
Tyler says all the time about the 3-chord like ranges, or like the 3-chord whatever, I don't know the chords, but nonetheless, like you talk about it all the time, where it's like, oh, every song is the same
structure. That's what I was saying. Like you write a 1-5-6-4 in the key of G, and it's like you're in.
Yeah,
It's literally,
but it works.
It's a cookie cutter. Like, so you have the song that you know is it sounded similar to the last one, so that one worked, so this one's gonna work. You do the same marketing strategy you did for that one because that worked, and all of a sudden this song is up on top too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and you just repeat the process, rinse and repeat, and you refine a little bit every time on your marketing strategy. The music doesn't really change other than the lyrics and like the instruments used, but at the end of the day, it's the same song in a way. You know,
Repackaged.
it's just repackaged in a different, like,
you go to Chipotle. It's like 10 different ingredients already packaged into 5 different foods.
Look at the writers. Like, a lot of the same writers are writing the same songs. You know what I mean? It's
Benny
just a
Blanco.
different. Yeah, it's just a different artist that's recording it, and then it's just really well marketed. It's a well-oiled machine. You know, and that's the thing about the music. The one thing I do give to the music industry, which I guess is better than other industries, is like when they did go digital, the pricing did adjust also. You know what I mean? Instead of paying like $15 for an album, it did drop down because it went digital. Other than like other industries that went digital, and they were just like, yeah, we don't have to create a package anymore. We don't have to physically copy anything, but we're still going to sell it for the same price as we did.
You can thank Metallica for that one. They were like the spearhead for actually getting paid for like digital downloads.
Yeah, they were, and they were just like, dude, we're not going to make any more music until we get paid. So I mean, somebody had to do it, I suppose. I like it.
Anybody got any closing statements to kind of like redeem this entire show?
Yeah,
I think it was a good show.
Okay, it was a good show. It's definitely fun to have that conversation. I guess it's just understand that a lot of this, we kind of try to bring it back to your sanity and not getting too caught up in what you do, and just remember who you are, so that you don't get into those points where, like, if what you do is all of a sudden gone, you don't lose who you are.
Yeah, finding your identity and being secure in who you are versus like finding your identity in something that's fleeting.
Which is, I don't know if we ever actually fully communicated that topic, but that was what our goal was.
So if you stuck around long enough, at least go over to the YouTube studio YouTube page and check out more about identity and how you can avoid the fall from fame.
And Billie Eilish, we know you're listening. It's gonna be okay. Louis Vuitton. We'll keep that ship going until the end of time if you let them.
Thank you for listening to the Life Podcast Show. We really appreciate all your support. We meet every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning just to talk and share our perspectives on everyday life situations. If you haven't already, please share this with your friends and give them a chance to join the conversation. Also, if you liked what you heard today, rate our podcast. The higher the rating, the longer we can keep this going. And a special thanks to our future sponsors that will soon partner with us on this journey. If anyone would like to contact us, please email us at thelifepodcastshow@gmail.com. One word. That's thelifepodcastshow@gmail.com. Be blessed and have a wonderful day.